Awesome. Okay, we're here. Welcome, everyone. This is a session I literally have been looking forward to all year. When I laid out the calendar of content that I wanted to bring to our community this year, I was like, there's only one person who can come by in December and lead us through this important moment of setting intentions for the year. And I just even get emotional saying that because Sarah has just been such a phenomenal force in the success of my business and a dear friend, mentor, someone I respect and admire so much. So before I cry, I'm gonna just turn things over to her today. Yeah. So first of all, welcome, Sarah. I'm gonna just hand the keys to the kingdom to you. The world is yours. All right, take us away here.
The world is ours, all of us. Thank you, Madeline. Thank you so much for inviting me here today and for that really, really loving welcome. You know, I love you so much. I love all the amazing work that you're doing. And all of you who are out here watching, right? Thank you for joining and sharing your time and energy with us today. I will do my best to support you. I will tell you today, this is the first time I've done this particular session in this way. So this is going to be informal. This is going to be a conversation together. I'm going to invite you to create some space for reflection today. And so it would be a great idea to get something out to write with here and there. If you hear questions, I'll pose questions. Certainly you're welcome to share in the chat, but also most importantly, right, these questions are for you. So I want you to just jot down any inspired thoughts, ideas, reflections that come up for you throughout. I guess I'll share a little bit of background about me. So how do I describe who I am and what I do? Okay, in a nutshell, my mission is to develop more conscious, evolved leaders in the world and in business. And so I do that through two primary things. So I have one business called Intend to Lead. That's a leadership development company where we coach leaders to access what we call the dimension of possible. We do that through leadership coaching, group learning, and consulting with organizations to create coaching cultures. And then I also have a business that I run called the Elevate Alliance, and that is designed to elevate women entrepreneurs. We are a collective. We provide inspiration, practical know-how, and a like-hearted community for women who want to create and lead a heart-based business from the inside out. I really believe in the power of more conscious, evolved leadership, and that requires us to lean into the feminine strengths that we have as leaders. Whether you are a woman or a man, it does not matter. We all have feminine and masculine qualities within us. And I think to really bring our leadership and the world into balance, we need more of these feminine strengths and gifts, right? We need to bring these to the table. And there are a lot of things I could talk about there. But what I want to talk to you about today, right, is to give us space to reflect on 2020 and really let those reflections and what we've learned fuel us for 2021 so we can head into 2021 with some intention and some energy and growth potential. And it's interesting because Madeline and I connected, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago to talk about what I would talk about today. And we really wanted to support you because it's been a rough year. And I know we all know that. And we may be tired of talking about it and hearing about it. And I think some of us feel like we just want to fast forward and be done already. And I get it because sometimes I feel that way too. But I think if we fast forward, we're missing a really valuable opportunity to just really reflect and pull the wisdom and the learning that is available to us because of the challenges this year. So I think it can help us create more meaning in our lives and in our businesses and really fuel us into what's next. So that's the space that I want to create for you today. We're going to learn from 2020. We're going to discuss how we can create our vision for 2021 and build intentions from that. And then how do we make those into a reality? So there's a lot to cover. I'm just going to roll with it. I'll do my best to keep us on time. All right. So just starting with 2020. And I mean, literally, let's start with the beginning of 2020. Think about where you were at the beginning of 2020 and what you were thinking and feeling, right? Because I think this year has been a time warp and we forget what that was like. We lose track of where we are in the calendar of what happened when. And this picture is actually taken in Sedona, Arizona. I went on a hiking trip. This picture was taken on March 5th, which was a week before the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic. And I was hiking with my friend Carrie. We were having this amazing time. We were talking about coronavirus. What are you thinking about that? Is that going to be a big deal? Like, I was very naive. I thought, we're going to be fine. And by the way, I still think we are fine, but I did not anticipate any of this coming. So I just want you to think back to when your life felt normal, whatever that was for you back then, right? The beginning of 2020, many of us were looking forward to that promise of a new year, that energy that it brings. Our kids were in school. Those of us that are parents remember that, like, it was just so regular and routine. We spent our free time with friends and family and traveling and hugging and connecting. And I remember I also got to go to Disney World to celebrate my son's 5th birthday in January. And oh my gosh, I'm glad that I got that in when I did, right? So it was relative sunshine, or at least for many of us at the beginning of 2020. And then boom, right? The storms rolled in. A global pandemic was declared on March 11th, and our world was flipped upside down. And I think we have all, at that time, it was immediate trauma, right? And then the actual literal storms rolled in. So natural disasters joined the party. When we look at 2020 in review here, it's been a record-breaking year for natural disasters. This is only the second time that the official alphabetical list of hurricane names has been used up, which means that forecasters had to move to the Greek alphabet for our hurricanes and tropical depressions. So we've actually broken the record this year for the season with the most named storms on record, 29. That's 20 hurricanes, and 5 of those hurricanes were Category 5 hurricanes. And then wildfires have taken an enormous toll in the Western US this year. And our friends in California, and really just right Western US, have really borne the worst of this. Records, sadly, have been set. More fires have burned, more than 4 million acres across California. That's doubling the previous record of nearly 2 million acres that was set in 2018. And then 5 of California's 6 largest fires were burning this year, right? So we have these natural disasters. And while nature has been raging on, we've had storms raging across our country, right? Certainly COVID-19 is still raging and it's getting worse. So we are at the highest yet cases per day. When I checked this, which was yesterday, 140,000 new cases per day, a total of 10.3 million in the US, and almost 300,000 deaths. The brutal murder of George Floyd at the hands of law enforcement, which sadly is not new, but the world noticed. And that has created space for protests, right? Standing up for what we believe in. It sparked a nationwide reckoning with deeply rooted systemic racism, removal of Confederate statues, right? Renaming military bases. So there is change, and then also people who are afraid of that change and who are railing against that. We've had the most contentious election recently that we've ever had, the most litigated in history, one where we held our breath for 5 days waiting to hear the results, right? Results which are still being contested. And our country feels, I think, more divided than ever. And that is what is happening, right, collectively. And that's a lot. And you combine that with the storms that are raging within us, right? As human beings, as individuals, we have our own challenges. And I think this year has really pulled back the curtain for us, right? On our society, on us as a collective, on us as individuals. What are our problems, right? This is the time to look at them and face them. And it is hard. It is hard to do that. And I don't know about you, but there have been various times this year where if I was about 5 years old and had blonde hair, I would look like this. Or, this. Sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm done with this. I can't take it anymore. Especially like around May, I was kind of holding it all together for the first couple months. And then it was just breakdown, right? I had to break down to break through and process this stuff. And yeah, sometimes I just want to be done. So I want to recognize this because I think it's so easy for us to hold these things in, to just keep coping and working through it. And those of us that that are business owners, and really just any of us in business, right? We've been pivoting, we've been shifting, we've been thinking, what do I need to change, and how I work, and what my products and services are, and how do I support my people, and how do I support myself. And any routines that we had that did support us were, right? They went out the window. We've had to reconfigure everything. We've had to reconfigure our family life, our home life, school, right? How do we do school? What's going on with school? We don't know anymore. Our concept of vacation and taking breaks has shifted. The simple pleasures like going out to eat and going to a party and celebrating new babies, mourning the loss of the people that we love, all of this is being redefined, right? We feel lonely, isolated at times. Even if we live with people, we're with them all the time, and that's its own thing, right? There are moments when we just don't feel safe like we used to, right? We can't take that for granted. We have deep concern for our country, for our democracy, for justice, things that feel so big that they are out of our control. And I think this year has really shifted relationships for us too, right? It's shifting the relationships in our life. Maybe some have petered out, some relationships are strained, some break, some, right? We create new ones. Yeah, and we just miss the everyday freedoms, that power of human connection, the simple things like hugs and seeing one another. And it's a lot, okay? It's a lot. And we're taking it day by day. We're trying to find balance and stability in the midst of all this unknown and all this uncertainty. And I don't know about you, but I feel a lot of hope for 21. I think there's a lot of energy in a new year. I think there's hope with a vaccine, but I think there's a lot more change to come. And I think the hard part, we're still in it, and I think we're still going to be in it for a while. And I share this with you with love. It's so important that we support ourselves and that we continue to support ourselves through this, and to realize that what we are living through right now, it's this extended state of trauma, and we're not built for this, right? Humans aren't made for that. And I know I've taken you on a journey, and maybe you're like, I don't want to go down this journey because I've been living it, Sarah. But I just want you to pause and soak this in and say, I am here and I have made it here. And I am human, right? I am human. And I think entrepreneurs, I think high achievers, everyone on here that has shown up, right? It's really easy for us to stuff down our feelings and just work hard and get the stuff done that we need to do, especially when we're in crisis, right? We're just like responding. We think we have to be superhuman, but we're human. And it's okay to be vulnerable. And I know that this year, you probably haven't felt like your best self, and that is okay. Okay. It is more than okay if you messed things up. I know I have. It's part of being human, and it's part of that beauty of being human. And it's actually our strength. It builds our resilience. And it's important for us to give ourselves grace and to extend that grace to others. And so 2020, right, it's taught us that our humanity, our vulnerability is our strength. That's what gives us the power to weather the storms, right? We are all here. We have weathered the storms. We are weathering them because we're here and we're showing up. And this is our resilience. And there is, I want to share a verse from the Tao Te Ching, which is a classic Chinese text written by Lao Tzu, a 6th century BC sage. A man is born gentle and weak. At his death, he is hard and stiff. All things, including the grass and trees, are soft and pliable in life, dry and brittle in death. Stiffness is thus a companion of death, flexibility a companion of life. An army that cannot yield will be defeated. A tree that cannot bend will crack in the wind. The hard and still will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail. So I think this is beautiful, right? Especially what really resonates for me is the tree. The tree. Are we going to break if we're brittle and hard and we cling and we think that strength is to be steadfast and cling on to what we know and our beliefs and what is, right? We break. But the strongest trees in the hurricane are the palm trees, right? They bend. They bend. And so I think, right, 2020 is teaching us, where do we bend? How can I be strong by bending? Right? Do I need to bend when it comes to a belief about myself, about other people, an attitude, an idea? Instead of holding it all together, holding it in, trying to stand tall and rigid and strong for other people and for ourselves, what might it feel like if we let go of that, right? If we bent, if we created space for something new, space for growth, space for life, so that we can weather the storms. And I will tell you, I think whether you realize it or not, you're bending or you wouldn't be here. And you have grown, even if it feels like things aren't going the way you want them to. I promise you, I know that you've grown because you're just here, right? You've overcome huge obstacles, no matter what your story is. And I really want you to just connect with that. And this is a great time to, right, get out that journal or whatever you have to write with. You are stronger today. You are more resilient. I know you can do hard things and you're doing hard things. So just take a moment and reflect and write this down. And if you want to share in the chat, I would love to hear what you have to share in the chat as well. But just think, what is one hard thing that you've done this year that you didn't know that you could? One hard thing. It could be about your business, your career. It could be about your life, your family. One hard thing that you want to acknowledge yourself for and celebrate for yourself. Yeah, and Madeline, I'm reading your post here about you chose flexibility as your word for the year with no idea how much you'd have to stretch. Yeah, well, that's a premonition there. That's beautiful. Yeah, so Mindy says, I got tech savvy in my business. Yeah, when we're forced to these things, right, we bend. So you bent and you got tech savvy. Yeah, I would love a couple of other shares if people are open to that. Okay, Peggy says, financial flexibility is a topic I discuss with clients. This year, you really took it to heart. Yeah, what a great way to support people, right? With that flexibility, flexing in the moment. Okay, saying no more and boundaries. Yes, it forces us to set boundaries. It allowed me to be quiet, to rebrand. Yeah, Nikki. Putting my kids in virtual school with another mom friend so I can keep working and keep my family healthy. Yeah, so getting creative, right? Creating community in new ways, finding new ways that we can support ourselves and one another, coming together. Gina says, walked away from a toxic relationship. Oh, that sounds brave. In 2020, I offered new services that I knew nothing about prior to the pandemic. Wow. So Amy says, I educated myself on the disaster relief options available to my small business bookkeeping clients. Awesome. Luke says, I changed literally everything about the wedding we planned except the date. Well, congratulations, Luke. Got married in October and it was wonderful. That's awesome. Cecily says, set firm boundaries, which easily gave me the results I often struggle to find. Isn't that interesting? The firmness, right, of those boundaries actually gave you flexibility and results that you wanted to find. That's awesome. You all are amazing. Okay, and I'm going to keep reading and then I'm going to stop, but this is so good. Going into education mode to learn what I need to support my small business clients. Yeah. So you all are doing amazing things. And you are stronger, you are better. And these are all the things that you're bringing forward with you into 2021. And I know it's been hard, but as hard as it's been, right? These are the gifts that we have, right? These have been gifts to us as we move forward. So this is a picture of the damage from Hurricane Laura that hit Lake Charles, Louisiana. And you can see in here, right, that storms cause damage, obviously, right? And it's not pretty. And as I mentioned earlier, I really think that the pandemic and just 2020 in general, it's pulled back that curtain on reality. And we're seeing things as they really are. We're seeing our stuck points. We're seeing the problems we have professionally, personally. We're seeing where we need to change and evolve. And if it wasn't for the global pandemic, I think many of us, right, it's easy to just get too busy and distracted with all the stuff going around where we don't even see the problems, or we just are too distracted to deal with them. And this has been the year to confront and tackle them. And it's not easy, but it is the way forward. Right? Those struggles hold our greatest opportunities for growth. And storms are very powerful phenomena, right? They destroy order, don't they? Like, look at these pictures of the destruction. They destroy the order, the regularity in our world and in our lives. And by doing that, they're also destroying the old. And they're creating a path for something new. And if you think about what happens after storms, after hurricanes, we come together to rebuild, right? And we're building something new that didn't exist before. And actually, during wildfires, what happens is diseased plants are purged, and the nutrients from the dead trees go back to the soil. The forest floor gets more sunlight, and seedlings, right, are distributed. They're released by the fire and they sprout and grow. So sometimes post-fire landscapes look like this, right? They explode into thousands of flowers. It's called a super bloom. And what's in this photo here is a rare poppy that's blooming from the ashes of a wildfire in California. So this is resilience, right? Nature has this natural resilience built in. And as human beings, we are part of nature. And this is available to us too. So we may not be able to stop the storm. We may not be able to control the storm, but we have a choice in how we weather the storm. We can be soft. We can be pliable, like the palm tree in the hurricane. We can choose to bend instead of break. We can choose to tackle and confront those hard things. We can choose to open ourselves to learning and identifying where we need to grow and change, right? We can be open to finding the new path forward. So this is another opportunity to connect with yourself and reflect. And so this is a good time to go back to your journal. And as you look forward to 2021, reflect on, where do I need to bend instead of break? Where do I need to open myself up to a new idea or a change? And where might I need to soften? Maybe it's an idea, a belief, an attitude, a way of doing things. Just as I ask that question, see what comes up for you. Where do I need to bend, soften, open up? I'm going to add a second question as you're writing. What path is being cleared for you in 2021? And what might you need to let go of to make space for something new? And I'll invite you to share if you would like in the chat, but certainly you don't need to. I know these questions I'm asking, they're really for you. And I know they can be deeply personal, but if anyone does feel led to share, I welcome that. Okay, I'm going to move us forward. And I hope that whatever came up for you, this is meant to be a very intuitive thing. So write the first thing that comes up for you. And certainly if there's things you've started writing that you want to go back to, please see this as a beginning, and you can go back to this right after the session and create some space just for you, quiet time. Okay, when we think about a new path that's opening up for us, that means change. And it can feel scary, right? Change feels scary. That's very normal, right? It can be hard to look at what we're doing and realize that it's not working and we need to do something different. And this is an opportunity, again, for resilience where we can bend instead of break. And I think it's an opportunity to use your fear not as something that has to stop you or paralyze you, but use it as an indicator. I think fear is a really powerful sign. It's not necessarily a sign of danger. It's a sign of when we are at the edge, when we are stretching ourselves and we're hitting a boundary. And that is a signal that there's opportunity for growth here. And I want to be clear that sometimes your fear is telling you this is very dangerous and this is very bad. So I want you to honor that. Okay. But I also think that our fear, like I said, it's an indicator of where are we at the edge, right? And you can feel into that and saying, is there an opportunity here for me to grow through this fear? Because friends, things get messy when we grow. That is a requirement. Chaos is required for growth, right? The messiness, that actually is the breeding ground for growth. That is the greatest opportunity for possibility. And yeah, it's scary because it's uncertain and it's unknown and we just don't know what's ahead. But that is part of the beauty of the process. And I think that's really hard for us sometimes because we don't want to let go of what we think we know. But possibility is on the other side of that, right? So this quote, I just want to share this with you because it's one of my absolute favorites, and I have it actually right here in front of me at my desk here. Georgia O'Keeffe, she says, "I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I've never let it keep me from doing a single thing that I wanted to do." Right? So if you're scared, I think that means you're probably doing some stuff right. Okay. I actually think that fear can be our friend. We can use it to make us better, right? If we use it as that indicator. So, welcome to fear. Open up to that. Where can you challenge your fears in 2021 in a healthy way, right? Okay. So again, as we look forward to 2021, I want to give some space to talk about visioning. So I want you to take everything that that, right, think about 2020. What do I want to take with me into 2021? What are my learnings? What new path is unfolding for me? And we want to create that vision of what we want for ourselves in 2021. So I'll talk a little bit about visioning, and I'm going to share some resources at the end because I could do just a whole session about this. But what I want to share with you, right, is this idea of dreaming, allowing ourselves to dream for our businesses and for ourselves. And what would you do if you weren't afraid? Or, right, not if you're not afraid, but just if you're, by the way, if you hear my dog, she's growling, I think, at the male lady that's coming. Sorry about that. But yeah, how can you, even if you're not afraid, if you're able to move through that fear, what's possible for you, right? And I think so often we forget how to dream, or we don't give ourselves that permission because the world squashes that out of it. Oh, we've got to be realistic, or we have to know how to figure out how to make that happen. This is not the point, my friends. I just want you to dream for the sake of dreaming, because when we're able to do that, we connect with something deep within ourselves. We're able to connect with who we really are, what we really want, what our purpose is in our lives. And this brings forth more of who we are. It brings forth more of our authentic selves. And we are better because of that. And the world is better off because of that, whether or not we get all those things we dream about, right? The point is going through it and dreaming about it anyway. Okay. So yeah, our dream, our vision is a dream expressed about what we want, about our future. It's an uncovering of possibilities. It's our compass. And I really believe that when we create space in our lives to dream, and we write this down and we cut out pictures, or however you both, like however you want to do it, we get more clarity on what we want. And I do believe that the universe conspires to work with us to give that to us. It may not always look like what we thought it was going to look like, but the universe has our back. And I know that from experience, and I really believe that. So let's talk about how we actually vision. So I'm going to share a quick abbreviated story about a man that I met in 2013. His name is John Henry McDonald, and he is the founder of a firm called Austin Asset Management. So I'm in Austin, Texas, by the way. So I know of John Henry, impressive guy, right? He's this millionaire that created this well-known company in town. And I met him through a friend, and we were part of this mastermind group. And he invited me to lunch one day. And so I took him up on his offer, and he shared his story with me. And here's the basics of the story without going into all the details. This man was at one point in his life a high school dropout, homeless Vietnam veteran who was addicted to various substances. And this man created this life for himself in this business, right? And just manifested this wonderful life with a beautiful wife who he adores, and he gives back to his community and all of these wonderful things. And he was telling me the story of this and how this happened. And he shows me this booklet that he had with him. And he said, "This is how I did it." He holds it up. And it's these cutout pictures from magazines. And he said, "This is what I do. Every year since the 1980s, he sits down starting on Thanksgiving, and he does the 21-day vision quest. And he dreams big about anything his heart desires. And he dreams in 5 areas, and it's very intentional. It's from the inside out. He starts with the spiritual. What do I most want? Who do I want to be spiritually? Then emotionally, right? How do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? How do I want the relationships in my life to be? Then he dreams about the mental, right? How do I think? How do I see myself? How do I see the world? How am I stretching myself mentally? What am I learning? Where am I growing? Then the spiritual, mental, emotional. Okay, so then the physical. So the physical is next, right? So what do I want to manifest in my life physically in terms of my health, my well-being? What am I doing? How am I feeling? And then the last one, which isn't on this is what I had to go through and count. The last one is fiscal or material. So that comes last, right? The money, the prosperity, those material things in our life, that is the external. That's the final manifestation of all the things in here. And when we are aligned right from the inside out, those things flow, right? Those flow much more naturally. And I remember he's telling me this story. We're having lunch. He's showing me these pictures in this book, right, that he's cut out. And he had a few from different years. And he's showing me like that happened. Oh, here's where it happened, right? And it maybe took a few years or whatever, but here's how it happened. And he actually had this picture of his wife, who it wasn't his actual wife, but a woman who looked strikingly like his wife that he cut out from a J. Crew catalog or something, right, years ago. And then it's like, wow, how did this happen? And it was as if by magic. And what John Henry says is dreaming is about possibilities, not probabilities, because our brains can get in our way. Our brains try to tell us all the reasons why we shouldn't want that, or why that's not reasonable or realistic, or how the heck are you going to do that? That's impossible, right? So the exercise of this 21 days, it's getting in that mindset of dreaming about what is possible for us, right? It doesn't matter if it's probable. Who cares? Throw the how out the window. This is the what. What do you really, really want? And then those of us that do the 21-day vision quest, and by the way, I've been doing this since 2013, and we do kick it off each year on Thanksgiving Day. That first day is about awe and gratitude, really feeling into that and looking at our lives for the year that has passed and really listing out all of the things that we're grateful for and all of the things that have come into our lives as if by magic. So that's the AIBM terminology that we use a lot. And it's just beautiful because, and I'll say I've been doing this is year 8. Things have shown up in my life that I have written down, and maybe they're not even the way that I think they're going to be, but there's something better, which is another thing we say, OSEB, or something even better. So the purpose of this is to connect with who we are, to get the clarity of what we want. And I'll tell you, when you start out from this place of awe and gratitude and really marvel at the magic of your life, and no matter how hard our life has been, I mean, this man, right, I told you a bit of his story, John Henry, he's always had things to marvel about in his life, right? And that does attract more of that. And when we get in that place and we spend 21 days writing and cutting out pictures and dreaming of what we really, really want, that gives us clarity, right? That gives us clarity, especially when we do it from this inside out approach. And so what I have noticed in my life is there are things that have happened that I cannot explain to you, things that showed up into my life as if by magic, and things that I thought I wanted and I got something even better that I had no idea that I wanted. And that's, I think, some of the magic of this whole process is we open ourselves up to believe that we are worth receiving these things, and right, and that allows us to receive them. Yeah, and it again, it's not about, there are things I laugh. I'll look at some things that I dreamt about years ago and I'm like, oh my God, I so don't even want that anymore. That's hilarious that I wanted that, right? So we evolve and our dreams evolve, but the point is, right, this helps connect us to ourself and what we want. And at the end of the 21 days, what we do is on day 22 is we create intentions out of this. So all these days of dreaming, it stretches us, it pushes us to our edge and beyond it, because I will tell you, it gets pretty hard to keep dreaming for 21 days. Sometimes I just write down the same stuff, or it feels like I am. And that's great because what that's telling me is I'm getting clearer on what I want because it keeps coming up. So yeah, it's a powerful process. There are more resources at the end if you want to do that. It's nothing, it's totally arbitrary that we start on Thanksgiving Day. You can start today, you can start tomorrow. This is a beautiful thing. You don't have to do it for 21 days. Do it for 1 day, do it for 5, do it like whatever, right? Make it work for you. But I think the idea is to really open yourself up to dream about what you most want for your life. And then you can really, from there, think about, what does this mean for me for 2021, right? How can I create intentions out of this? So I'll get to intentions in a moment. These are questions that might inspire your dreaming. And then let's talk about goals and intentions. Okay, so let's say you've gone through your process, you've created space. Well, first of all, right, we're not letting 2020 go yet. We're taking the wisdom, the learning, the growth, the strength, the resilience out of 2020. We're taking the wisdom about what's next for us from 2020 and into 2021, what new path is being created. Then we're visioning about what we most want and saying, what do I want for 2021? And then how can I create intentions and goals out of that? So I really want to talk about what's the difference between an intention and a goal. So I'll start with a goal. A goal, and this is what we're most familiar with, like goals, goals, goals. Everybody needs big goals. So a goal is the result or achievement toward which effort is directed. So I really want to hone in on that word effort. A goal is something we're doing, we're working. It's hard, usually. And an intention is an act or instance of determining mentally upon some action or results. So it's the end of the object intended, the purpose. What I really want to hone in on here is it's a mental thing where we decide the end result that we want. So it's not, I really think about a goal as the doing, the working. And this is, if we're thinking in terms of energy, this is the masculine energy. And by the way, when I say masculine and feminine, right, that's not like male versus female. That's just the energy that we all have both. But that masculine is, what am I going to drive towards? Where am I going to work and put forth effort? And the intention is the feminine. It's the receiving. What do I want to receive? And I think in the world, we think that everything we get comes from the effort and the goal. And I think that's why there's all this glorification of hustle, hustle, hustle. And that burns us out. And if that's all we do, we're closing ourselves off to a much more fulfilling life. We're closing ourselves off to actually receiving right through these intentions. And there is another way, right? I think we need both of these to be in balance. I think we want to have intentions and goals. I think we can take ourselves a lot more lightly. I know we can. I think we can. I hope that you believe that you can. And that's really what I encourage you to do. How can I play more? How can I have more fun with this? How can I make it not all about I have to get the goal and I'm going to sacrifice everything to get there and lay myself down for that goal? How can I just have a little more fun with it, right? How can I open myself up to receive what I want? And how can I actually act as if I already have it? So when we go through our visioning process, we should have more clarity on what we really want, not what we think we're supposed to want, not what someone else wants for us. This is about you. What do you really want? What matters most? Then you can say, who do I need to be today to create the future that I want? Because we can start being that future self, right? We can act as if we already have all those things that we want, right? If I want a really happy, healthy family, and I want to have a strong, healthy body, and I want to have a prosperous business that really changes lives and supports people, I can start acting like the person that has all of those things. I can start acting like that today. I can embody that. So intentions, right? I really want you to bring this being with the doing. Yeah, you still got to do some stuff, of course, but I think most of us are overtrained in how to do stuff. So how can we start being who we need to be to attract those things that we want into our life? And this is a quote from a wonderful, wonderful teacher, Dr. Wayne Dyer. Our intention creates our reality, right? So what are our intentions? Okay, so I'm going to try to zoom through this last part because I'm looking at the clock and there's so much I want to share with you all. Okay, so how do we move our vision forward? So start with your gratitude celebrations. What's working well? Oh my gosh, I should have put 2021. Sorry, I have a typo, you guys. Okay, so pretend that says 2021 at the top of the slide. So we want to start with our gratitude and celebrations. What's working well already? What have we learned about our business, about ourselves this year? We've talked about that. Then you want to ground yourself in your why, in your vision. So what is your vision of success for 2021? Why does that matter? Right? Our why gives us purpose. It fuels us. When you achieve this vision or even just get closer to it, it doesn't have to be about achieving it in perfection. When I get closer to this, what difference will it make? Why does this matter? That why grounds us. It gives us energy. It fuels us. Then we create annual intentions and goals out of this. So what I really encourage you to do is come up with some intentions about who you want to be, who will you be in 2021, and then what are the things I will do in 2021, right? So your intentions and your goals. Who will I be? What will I do? And maybe what are some of the practices, habits, routines that I want to incorporate in my life so that I can be the person I want to be, right? That will get the stuff that I want, right? The getting and the stuff comes after your being first. So who do I want to be? What are the things I need to do to get there? Okay. And then create an action plan out of that. So like I said, we have those big goals, the doing goals. Then think about how can I break those down into little pieces and leverage habits in my life. We do everything. Real change happens through tiny steps repeated consistently over time, right? That's how we create massive change. So what are the small things that you can build in your day-to-day, the habits you can create to move you forward to that vision? And then what I suggest you do is look at your big goals, your intentions quarter by quarter. Less is more, right? You may have, let's say, 10 big goals for the year. You don't need to do all 10 in Q1, right? Let's focus on 2 or 3. Let's nail those 2 or 3, those foundational things, and then let that fuel our momentum for the next quarter, right? Because that's really how we make progress. What I see so often is like we're so excited about all of it. We're like, we're going to move all 10 of them forward right in January. And what usually happens is we lose steam, we lose fuel, we're tired, we're burnt out, it's too much. And then we feel like, oh man, I failed. And I'm just going to throw it all out the window, right? That's an extreme version, but it's just disheartening. So how can we set ourselves up for success and look at it a little at a time? Because a year is a long time. We can actually do a lot in a year. So quarter by quarter. And then I want to remind you that you're not alone in this. You are not. What resources do you have available to support you? Let others help you, right? Let technology help you. What do you need? Do you want to support yourself with a community, with a mastermind group? What sort of developmental resources do you need? Do you want to hire a coach? Right? I will tell you, because I avail myself of all of the above. I am a coach. I provide these communities. I provide learning, and I still do it for myself because I know that it works, because it helps elevate us to another level when we have that support and that accountability and that connection with people. And it's just more fun. I think it's more fun to do it in community with others and to share the celebrations and the successes. All right, home stretch here, and then I'm going to open it up for a couple minutes of Q&A. But before we wrap up, I want to share some what I call loving reminders with you. Your business, your career should be aligned with who you are. Okay? When we are doing what aligns with our purpose and the things that bring us joy and the things that are our natural talents and strengths, instead of pushing ourselves to do the stuff we think we're supposed to do or the stuff we don't want to do, when we are aligning the business with us, it flows from us and we experience more ease, grace, joy. We open ourselves up to receive what we want. I'm not saying it's all easy street, okay? But I'm saying the more when we notice ourselves out of alignment, where we can catch that and really connect and say, how can I get back in alignment? That can make a big difference. And I think so often, so many of us are walking around out of alignment, and that's why we're struggling. We're pushing so hard and we're striving and we're efforting, right? And I think the world really, culture kind of glorifies this and says you have to. And do I think you have to? I think challenge and struggle some level is good because it shows us our edge, right? It pushes us and we can grow through it. So I want you to have some level of struggle, but there's struggle from expanding who you are and leaning into that. And there's struggle because I'm doing something that I really shouldn't be doing. right? Or I'm trying to do this all by myself and it's just not working, right? There are different sorts of struggle. I know this is hard, but I think this is something you can tune into and questions you can ask yourself. Why does this feel so hard? Is it because I'm out of alignment? Or is it just because I'm at an edge and I'm growing through this and I will be more in alignment with who I am and in a more expanded version of myself on the other side, right? These are questions and things to tune in with ourselves on. I encourage you to hold this all lightly. Okay, you create plans for the year. A plan is beautiful, but a plan is meant to evolve. You are a human being. You need to evolve your plan as you evolve. And I want you to hold this with that spirit of lightness and learning. And this is an iterative process. I'm going to try some stuff. I'm going to see how it goes. What did I learn from that? And then how will I shift going forward, right? It's a feedback loop. We're always trying, learning, evolving. And this is not about getting it all right. This is not about I failed if I didn't hit that goal. I want you to connect with and say, is this even the goal that I still want? Right? Because it's very natural that we change. So make space, hold it lightly. It's an experiment. Reconnect with and evolve your plan real time. So create these spaces on your calendar to check in. Is this still what I want? What's working well? What's not? Where do I need to shift going forward? And then share this, right? If you work in a team, I really encourage you to share what you're doing, share this process with them. You could do this as a team, really envision together. You can draw out one another's strengths. You can help support one another with your developmental goals, right? And you can really all elevate and rise together. This could be a really neat exercise to share and make space for that. And in addition to doing it with your team, I just want to remind you that you don't have to do this alone. So whether it's with your team, a community, a mastermind group, a coach, right? Whatever that is, you have more support than you know. So look for it. You do not have to do this alone. And so what I really encourage you to do, even now, even in this moment, is what will you commit to? Make a commitment to yourself. Put dates on your calendar for when I will set out this time to dream, this time to come up with my intentions. When might I want to share that with my team or involve them in the process? And when will I put those dates on my calendar to reconnect with myself and what I want to evolve that as I go? I'm going to tell you, friends, at least quarterly. Okay. I suggest even monthly, but at least quarterly, you should be checking in on the big picture. And what I actually do through my business is my partner and I, we have a quarterly strategy meeting where we go through all these things and we refresh them every time. And then in our weekly partner meetings, we're always going back to what were those big goals or rocks for the quarter that we're working on? How is it going? So we're always kind of holding one another accountable and evolving that real time. So that's how we do it on our end, but figure out what the cadence is for you. Okay, there is a lot. I know I've covered a lot. I feel like I've been talking a really long time. So I want to open it up and ask for questions. What questions do you have for me that I can support you with? Oh, can I recommend a mastermind group? Oh my gosh, there are like a billion. Madeline, like, do you all do mastermind groups through?
So Cecily teaches us that perfectly. We're evolving Learning Lab this year into a mastermind situation because that's been the number one request from our members, is to get to collaborate more with them. So if you're a current Learning Lab member, you're getting an announcement about this soon. And if you don't know what Learning Lab is and you're curious to know more, we definitely share a lot about it. So that's our version. I think there's so many that are varied by industry. We also have we have one specifically for accounting firm leaders called Firm Forum, and I do think there's power in masterminding with folks in your industry for sure. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday who said, like, that's like therapy. You can, because they like get all the details, right? And so but there's also power just masterminding based off of expertise. Like there's obviously women's masterminds as opposed to marketing masterminds and things like that. So
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, there are so many if you start looking for it. And I think if you set an intention that you want to be part of one,
Mhm.
you'll receive it and you'll find the one that's meant for you, right? You'll come across it. I know in Elevate, the Elevate Alliance, the business I have for women entrepreneurs, we mastermind in that. We're rolling out a really amazing program in 2021 for that as well. But yeah, I think if you're looking for it, you'll start tuning in and you'll find the right fit for you because there are a lot of ways to do it.
And I think one of the great ways to follow that into is reaching for people that you want to mastermind with, asking those people, where do you go? Who is your community? Because that can often lead to the right group for you too. I mean, that's how I found Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah. Somebody I knew said, "Hey, I think you really need to know this woman named Sarah," and it was during a time in my business where I was feeling really alone and really isolated and like I had to do it all myself. And it was such an important opening of a door for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Any other burning questions? I'm curious to hear if folks have them. I had a share that I wanted to also offer. I'm sitting in, you can't really tell 'cause it's like a closed frame, but I'm sitting in my office and I was laughing so hard because I looked back at my 21-day vision quest for the past year in 2019. And every other page, I can't even remember what was going on during the time, but every other page was like, I need an office. I need to get out of this house. I need to, and it was because for the first time in a long time, I had worked from home for a year. And those of you who know me and know the company, we expanded into this beautiful 1,200 square foot space this year. And it's like the ultimate dream to get to come here and work every day. But it was kind of beautiful to reflect on that and see like, oh yeah, that was my dream last year, was to just create an office, and now that's where I am.
Literally, you're there right now in this session. That's really cool. So that happened pretty fast. Yeah, it is just that space to come out of the craziness of our day to day and dream and really think about what we want and get clear. That actually helps our brain look for it. So that's what I was saying about the mastermind, right, Madeline, with your office. When we know what we want, even if it's just kind of stored back in there, our brain looks for it for us. So it's not just this woo-woo magical. I mean, I do think there is part magic, part science, but it's literally how our brain works to support us.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
I did want to share just a couple thoughts before we close, Madeline, if that's okay. Here are just some resources if you want to dig deeper on some of this. I have a blog post about JHM is John Henry McDonald, the man I told you about. But there's more information on the 21-day Vision Quest movement, a blog post that I wrote about dreaming and why that's important. I've written a blog post about intentions versus goals. And actually, this gets pretty granular on how you can use intentions and integrate them into your day-to-day once you set them for the year. There's an interview I did with Madeline that would love for y'all to listen to if you haven't, where it's just about conscious evolved leadership, the power of feminine leadership and bringing love into business. And then my other company, Intend to Lead, we're leadership development, inspiration and support. So you can check that out. If you're a woman business owner seeking community as well, I know you already have this amazing community here, right, with Madeline. And if you're curious about this too, you can check out the Alliance. Yeah, and I want to end with this thought, right? Because we've been talking about storms. And I came across this quote from a Japanese writer, Haruki Murakami. And he says, "Once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. And that's what this storm is all about." So, right, you may feel like the storm has been hard and it's destroying the order and the regularity in your life, but it is creating a path for you that is something really incredible, new possibilities and growth for you. And I just really encourage you to embrace that and connect with it and let that support you. And I can't wait to see what is ahead for all of us, right, when we embrace this. So that's all that I have. Thank you, Madeline, for letting me come and share. Thanks to all of you for being here and engaging. If you want to connect with me, here's all my information. And I just wish you all the very, very best in 2021.
Thank you. You always leave me so inspired. It's an honor to bring you to this community, and just so grateful for the work you're doing in the world. Please, please, everyone, connect with Sarah. She is a force to be reckoned with, and she is just an absolute gift. So thank you. Amen to everything that was said. And wishing you all, if we're not going to see you in our Learning Lab session next week, wishing you all an amazing holiday season and best wishes as you form your intentions for the new year. All right.
Take care, everyone. Love to all. Bye.